2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he is as God, seated in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Welcome to 144,000 teachers, the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. In the menu, the last great conflict, worship time. Repeating the history of Israel. Heaven is where it all started. And as we enter the second part, first Sunday law, 325 AD, changing time. From here to forever. Chapter 3, Spiritual Darkness in the Early Church. The Apostle Paul declared that the day of Christ should not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God seated in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And furthermore, the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Even at that early date, the apostle saw creeping in errors that would prepare the way for the papacy. Little by little, the mystery of iniquity carried forward its deceptive work. The custom of heathenism found their way into the Christian church, restrained for a time by fierce persecutions under paganism. But as persecution ceased, Christianity laid aside the humble simplicity of Christ for the pomp of pagan priests and rulers. The nominal conversion of Constantine caused great rejoicing. Now the work of corruption rapidly progressed. Paganism, appearing vanquished, became the conqueror. Her doctrines and superstition were incorporated into the faith of the professed followers of Christ. This compromise between paganism and Christianity resulted in the man of sin foretold in prophecy. That false religion is a masterpiece of Satan, his effort to sit himself upon the throne to rule the earth according to his will. We encourage you to complete the reading of this wonderful book of information regarding the church, the first church, and what has happened to it. Continuing with the Great Controversy, published in 1888, the spirit of concession to paganism opened the way for a still further disregard of heaven's authority. Satan tampered with the fourth commandment also, and is said to set aside the ancient Sabbath, the day which God had blessed and sanctified, and in its stead to exalt the festival observed by the heathen as the venerable day of the sun. This change was not at first attempted openly. In the first centuries, the true Sabbath had been kept by all Christians. They were jealous for the honor of God, and believing that his law is immutable, they zealously guarded the secretness of its precepts. But with great subtlety, Satan worked through his agents to bring about his object. That the attention of the people might be called to the Sunday, it was made a festival in honor of the resurrection of Christ. Religious services were held upon it, yet it was regarded as the day of recreation, the Sabbath being still sacredly observed. To prepare the way for the work which he designed to accomplish, Satan had led the Jews before the advent of Christ to load down the Sabbath with the most rigorous exactions, making its observance a burden. Now, taking advantage of the false light in which he had thus caused it to be regarded, he cast contempt upon it as a Jewish institution, while Christians continued to observe the Sunday as a joyful and a joyous festival. He led them, in order to show their hatred of Judaism, to make the Sabbath a fast, a day of sadness and gloom. In the early part of the 4th century, the Emperor Constantine issued a decree making Sunday a public festival throughout the Roman Empire. The Day of the Sun was reverenced by his pagan subject and was honored by Christians. It was the emperor's policy to unite the conflicting interests of heathenism and Christianity. He was urged to do this by the bishops of the church, the bishops of Rome, who, inspired by ambition and thirst for power, perceived that if the same day was observed by both Christians and the heathen, it would promote the nominal acceptance of Christianity by pagans and thus advance the power and glory of the church. But while Christians were gradually led to regard Sunday as possessing a degree of sacredness, they still held the true Sabbath as the holy of the Lord and observe it in obedience to the 4th commandment. We invite you to read the book, The Great Controversy, and continue with the experience of the Christian once that Sunday law was passed. We would like to introduce you to a book that is found in the writing of Mrs. Ellen G. White, which is called The Two Republics, or Rome and the United States of America. In this book, the author, Alonzo Trevier Jones, relate the experience of Rome when it became a mix of paganism and Christianity, and the experience of United States of America, which slowly but slowly has gone into the same direction. The table of contents says much about the teaching that you will find in this very important book, such as the last days of the Republic of Rome, the Roman monarchy, and then as you go further and further, it talks about the 10 persecutions, Christianity now, and the Roman Empire in chapter 5, the rise of Constantine. Then you go to chapter 8, you will see, or 7, ancient sun worship. 8, the falling away, the great apostasy, the exaltation or the exaltation of the bishopric, which is the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, and very important here, the religion of Constantine. We do not have the time to read every one of these chapters at this point, but we do encourage you to return to this reading as we show you little by little what has happened to Christianity. Chapter 7, as mentioned, is the ancient sun worship. The secret of sun worship, the rites of the sun, the worship in the mysteries, Jehovah's condemning sun worship, the sun worship in Judah. Sun worship destroys the kingdom. And then you go on and you will come to Constantine, a worshiper of the sun. Very, very important book of history of mankind and how at all time idolatry has come among the people. And the worship of the sun has existed for centuries and centuries previous to Christianity. As well, chapter 8, with the falling away, the great apostasy, it shows the root of the apostasy being the mystery, being the forms of sun worship adopted and now Rome exalting Sunday, and sadly, Sunday being accepted in Christianity. And this is where the two streams unite in Constantine. As we continue with the chapter 10, the religion of Constantine, this is a very sad period of Christian history where pagan and apostate Christian now have come together, and Constantine, the same one who claims to be a Christian, many times a murderer, and historians have wondered actually if he ever converted. And as we look into this particular chapter, we want to introduce you to something very important that you may never have seen before. In AD 321, to please the bishops of the Catholic Church, Constantine issued an edict commanding judges, townspeople, and mechanics to rest on Sunday. Yet, in this also is paganism was still manifest, as the edict required rest on the venerable day of the sun, and enjoined the observance, or rather forbade the public desecration of Sunday, not under the name of Sabbatum or Dies Domini, but under its old astrological and heathen title, Dies Solis, familiar to all its subjects, so that the law was applicable to the worshippers of Hercules, Apollos, Mithras, as to the Christian. Please continue to read this important book, as you will discover too that Dies Domini has returned now in history. The one that they used to use in the history, it's now has taken place in our own time, in our own era. So we encourage you to study this particular convocation is very important. You will discover that we are studying greatly about Sabbath to Sunday and preparation for a Sunday law. May the Lord bless you as you continue to study and make yourself very knowledgeable of the day ahead, because the time has come for us to stand for our faith, though the heaven falls.